Shit, a real one.
Hey, hey, man, that's when you want to be online. Like shit, just it's this is what happens when you share Instagram accounts of people. Hey, man, y'all know what time it is. It's another week. My brother Will is joining us, standing in 5'3", 162 pounds. How we feeling today?
5'3", 160. Puny, I guess.
I feel like we got a different setup today, like different than the normal. You moving some stuff around?
Not really. I'm in the same room. Everything is really in the same spot. I had to move the camera though to like a different to the different monitor.
Okay.
I had to take one of the monitors out. So usually I have it on my left monitor. So today it's on the right one.
Bet.
So I'm only operating. I'm operating with one screen right now versus my normal 2 or 3.
I'm weird. I'm on 4, but I'd be doing extra shit. Let's start with this. We're done with football season. Although I do have one football thing for you that I remembered, but we'll do that last. So All-Star game. Funny enough, now I watched literally 0 minutes of it in real time. I didn't watch the dunk contest. I don't watch the 3-point contest. I don't watch the Rising Stars. I didn't watch the actual games. I got to the point where like I stopped caring about it because these niggas stopped caring about it. So it's like I'm not gonna waste my time and keep watching something that like y'all don't care to be there. Now I did go back and watch some of it. I watched some of the highlights because there was some positive feedback out of it. Wemby was trying, Ant was pooping. Like some of the old guys were actually giving some effort. They're playing the 12-minute games. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm fine with this. I defended, now I've shit on Adam Silver a lot this week, but I did defend that the All-Star game, I don't really think he can fix. If the guys just don't care, it's not going to change nothing. Like, do you think there's anything Adam Silver can realistically do? Like, this year worked, but I don't think it was because of the format. I think it was just a handful of guys wanted to try harder. Like, does Adam Silver really have a way to, quote-unquote, fix All-Star Weekend? Or is that just up to the players?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think as the commissioner, you got to try to maybe implement new ways to kind of breed competition. But I think it's definitely on the players to play hard too. So I think part of it, and I don't even know. Like I seen some of it, but I don't know what the actual new format is. Like what the scoring system and all of that stuff. Like I seen the teams part,
and one European team.
Yeah, so it's like
and they just play games 12
to 12.
Well, 12-minute games. So basically, you basically run a
okay.
quarter with your team versus another team.
Gotcha. So yeah, no, I think from what I see, and especially like scoring wise, I think maybe doing it that way, it kind of helps it be more competitive from top to bottom. I mean, from start to finish, I should say. But I mean, I definitely think it's still on the players too. So when you got players like Wemby who is going out there and trying to compete, and you got players like Ant who going out there and trying to compete, I think the players play a big part of it, and I think some of it is maybe some of these older players kind of, you know, as they're going to be making their way out, it's going to be up to these younger guys to kind of make it competitive again. And I think for the most part, these younger guys, this is the social media era of guys, so those are the ones that seeing everything, all the comments and everything about it not being competitive and maybe trying to do something about it. Not saying, you know, I'm sure LeBron see it, we know KD see everything that's going on online and things like that, but they don't necessarily care because they accomplished.
No, that's a fact. KD had an interesting weekend, to say the least. But he did say something I think was valid, and I'm a huge Jokic fan. But Jokic don't give a rip about the All-Star game. He couldn't be bothered to, like, barely jog up the fucking floor. And KD brought up a good point where he's like, look, man, you're yelling at me, you're yelling at Bron, you're yelling at Steph, and be like, why don't you guys take the All-Star game seriously? He's like, look at all the top European dudes. Like, they don't take it seriously. Luka isn't out there trying. No, Jokic ain't out there. And he's like, and they're younger than us. When this shit started to, like, go really, really bad, now they've all played forever, but they were on the other side of 30. It's like, it's always going to be up to, like, the young guys. And when Luka and Jokic were young, they didn't give a fuck. So, and Giannis really only cared, like, 1 year, and then after that, he was like, all right, well, nobody else cares. I'm going to stop caring, too. Adam Silver right now is probably in as bad of a reputation as it's been since he took over. If obviously the All-Star game was one of the issues, if you're Adam Silver, how do you handle a quarter's probably a little too high, but it feels like it. Like a quarter of the team's tanking, actively trying to lose. There's been talks about doing something with the lottery. Like, if you're Adam Silver, what is possible to do with just a handful of teams not actively trying to lose? Like, how would you handle that?
I mean, I think we did. Was this last week when we talked about it some on the?
We did a little bit.
I think maybe restructuring the lottery. I think we talked about maybe the worst teams getting the worst, getting that top pick or something like that. Like just, I don't know. It's hard to say what the correct answer is when it comes to the NBA. Because, I even talked about, lottery picks being, 1 through 14. Like, the 14th guy in a lottery pick. Like, yeah, you're a lottery pick, but it's not, you ain't a top 3. Like, when you talk about those top 3 to 5 guys or whatever, it's such a huge gap in, the talent level between those guys and, the guys later in the lottery also. I don't know the best way to fix it. I think some of the stuff we talked about, like I said, maybe giving the worst teams those top picks essentially, instead of making it, if you one of the 5 or 6 worst teams, you got these high ass odds.
Would you be open to just disbanding the lottery and just go straight up all right, worst record, first pick, second worst record, like how they do in NFL and Major League Baseball?
I don't think that's a bad idea. Even if they decided to do something maybe maybe top 6 or 7 or 8 teams or something like that. Those teams get picks based on the record, and everybody else is in the lottery.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Okay, so the top 5 or 6 are still going to for sure get the best guys, and then that lower half of the lottery, there's all right, y'all can you might be able
y'all
to
can go
from,
y'all can go into y'all could go into the lottery based on at that point it's y'all go into the lottery and it's not even everybody got the same odds. So now it don't incentivize you to be the 7th worst team in the league, because now you got the same odds to get a pick maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 or something like that. You got the same odds to get that pick as the team who just won a championship or something.
Yeah.
It's about trying to get creative.
No, 1,000%. I did think it was funny that supposedly this got leaked, that supposedly the Thunder were one of the teams, because Utah only keeps their pick if it's in the top 8. So it's top 8 protected. And so obviously they're trying to be as bad as possible because they want to keep the first round pick. And OKC supposedly has been complaining about that. But it's funny because OKC before this run, they were the tanking team. The first year they had SGA. I think it was the second year they had SGA. SGA just, funny enough, had 21 of his last 30 games were DNP his second year with the Thunder. And it was and that was the year they got checked. So I'm y'all, and that's why I kind of feel bad for Utah fans. I'm everybody's focused on Utah right now, but I'm a lot of these teams that are great right now, the Spurs were terrible for years, and you can't name 5 guys from that run at the end of Pop's run. You can't name 5 guys who were on that roster. They were putting out those lineups that you see on Twitter every couple years, and it's damn, these niggas started who? The Thunder were doing that. The Pistons had that. So all these teams that are great right now, they all were kind of tanking at one point. So it's not the Jazz fault. They're just kind of going with the system.
I think probably getting rid of protected picks is probably a thing too. If you do away with those, because now if you trade me, if you trade me a pick and you say and I give you a player in return, or whatever I give you in return, this pick don't need to be protected. I don't want it to be protected if it's in the lottery or something like that. You gave me the pick for the player, and now it's going to incentivize you to tank because you want to keep the pick.
Yeah, you get the pick and the player, and so it's you win that trade by being worse that season.
Mm-hmm.
Another one, and again, these are a lot of stuff Adam Silver was getting asked, and Adam did not have a great press conference. Again, some of these things I do feel it's unfortunate, because I also don't think, David Stern was a great commissioner. I don't think David Stern had a perfect run, but I think he is kind of highlighted as almost a perfect commissioner in comparison. And again, Adams' press conference during the All-Star weekend was not the best. Another one of the things he didn't really decline to comment on is the 65-game rule. So LeBron's not going to be an All-NBA guy this year. He's just already missed too many games. Jokic is a game away, and he won't be an All-NBA, and Shea can only miss like 4 more games before he's All-NBA, and Steph has also already missed 13 games this year. Then the rule was meant so that like load managing, you couldn't quote unquote like load manage your way to an All-NBA, and the guys had incentives in their contracts. I think it's the wrong spirit of the rule. Like Jokic had someone run into his knee, he missed 2 to 3 weeks, and then he came back, and he's been basically playing 40 minutes a night every single night. Should there be some reconsideration, or even Adam Silver just kind of stepping in and say, hey, I'm making the executive call right now, like this ain't what the rule is designed to. So if Jokic finished the season as clearly an MVP level player, but he's at 63 games, he's still eligible for first team All-NBA. And same with SGA and Curry and all these guys.
So I'm not, let me see. So I'm not opposed, like I don't hate the game minimum. Like I don't dislike there being a game minimum. Now I'm not saying that it should be 62 games. I don't know what that number is, but I do think like if you don't play a certain percentage of the games, like I'm not upset at somebody who was more available than you getting a head nod to make these All-NBA teams and things like that, because I think one of the most popular things in sports is the best ability being availability. And like I said, I'm not saying that 62 games is the right number, and I don't know what that number is, but I'm not necessarily mad at rewarding the players that are available. And and like you said, some of this stuff is uncontrollable, so like you can't control injuries, and it was originally put in place for load management purposes, but I think also like if you injured half the season but your half of the season was great, I don't know that I don't know that you deserve to get it over somebody who played the whole season and also had a really good season.
So I agree with that. I guess and again, I agreed with the like spirit of the rule initially. And so I think we should let that, and maybe this, again, no matter what system you use, you can always complain or nitpick a system, right? So I think if a guy is, let's say he's playing at an MVP level, but he clearly has only played like half the season at 50 games, I think automatically the voters should just kind of be able to go, okay, yeah, you were obviously great, but you just have not played enough games where I can give you like MVP first team All-NBA, right? An easy example is 23-24 Joel Embiid. He averaged 34.7 points a game, was going crazy, high field goal percentage, but he only played 39 games. And nobody would have realistically looked at you and been like, we all acknowledged he was a great player, he was busting everybody's ass, but you were available literally less than half the games. Like, you just not going to make it strictly off that. So, meaning a dude who, I don't know what the first team All-NBA was that year, but, like, I'll use Jokic and Giannis because I'm just assuming they were. Them obviously having comparable numbers, but they're in the high 60s, 70s games played. Okay, that's clearly more valuable than as great as Embiid was, only getting in 39 games. The 65-game rule, again, I kind of hope, now I don't really have a whole lot of faith in Adam Silver right now, and we're getting to that in a second too, is I do kind of hope he just comes out and makes an exception and goes, hey, look, this wasn't the spirit of the rule. Like, if SGA and Jokic finish rounds, and I think Steph too, finish around 60, 64 games, he just comes out and says, look, man, they eligible. Like, it's not, they missed specifically like one period of time because they were injured. I'm not saying, because then you're going to have some whack-ass All-NBA teams. Like, you were just going to have dudes who, like Dylan Brooks was going to be an eligible All-NBA guy.
But I guess
because he got to 66 games instead of 63.
Like, I guess, like, what does that mean to fans, though?
So an average fan, I don't think it means much. I think if you are, I'll use myself for an example. If you're one of those guys that, like, when you sit there and, like, look at the history of the sport, and I don't really care about All-Stars or Pro Bowls because those get funny. Like, we talked about this last week. I'm like, Kareem was an all-star at the end of his career, averaging 9 points a game. But it was Kareem, so you gave it to him for like a lifetime achievement award, right? Kobe made all-stars at the end of his career when he really shouldn't have been. And LeBron, who's been good, but even if LeBron should be an all-star every year until he retires. Like, some of those guys you are icons, legends, cool. The all-NBA stuff, like, to me, it does mean something when you got a guy who is, like LeBron having 13 or 15 consecutive all-NBAs. Like, that's an impressive part of his resume. Jordan having 11 straight all-NBAs. Like, that stuff means something to people like me that take this shit way too seriously. And I think I don't want to look at what's an easy way to say this? If you're looking at like the best players of an era, right? So like you go to the 2000s, you're going to see a bunch of Shaq All-NBAs, you're going to see a bunch of Duncan All-NBAs, a bunch of Kobe All-NBAs, LeBron. Like you're going to realize, okay, these were the best players of that decade. If I then, because dudes start only putting 60 to 63 games because they get that one injury a year, and it's like, am I supposed to believe Jokic is no longer great because he got to 64 games instead of 65 games, and now he's not eligible for All-NBA for 2 or 3 years in a row?
Why would you believe that, though?
With the history of it. You said what?
Or you saying, I said, why would you believe that he was no longer great? Are you saying like people in the future to kind of look at that?
No, people in the future would. Because if you just open up because sometimes all we got to do was open up the history. Like, we all know Wilt because of a bunch of stories and a bunch of numbers. Like, that's Wilt Chamberlain to most of us. Because we didn't watch him play, and for a lot of people, they weren't even alive at the same time as Wilt. So you just got to look at the history books and go, okay, Wilt was, we joke about it, but like, Wilt probably being like, why am I not the greatest player ever? Like, tell me one person who's fucking with me. And so, but you need that context of like, okay, when you go and look at even his All-NBAs, it's him and Bill Russell. And you see the championships for Bill Russell, and you're like, okay, so Wilt has all these stupid-ass numbers that no one's ever going to come close to, but you can respect and you understand who Bill Russell was because, like, he was the only guy competing with him. He was winning championships, and they were competing for that, back then, only one spot for the All-NBA. So historically telling the league, I think the All-NBA matters. Again, All-Stars and Pro Bowls, that's a little different because, again, I think you should get some Lifetime Achievement All-Stars because you've been an all-time player. But the All-NBAs and All-Pros, to me, I view those differently. And again, I'm obsessive about it. So when I want to tell the story of the NBA, it's why as much as I like somebody like Tracy McGrady, and it's like, oh, if you watch T-Mac, you're like, oh, yeah, he one of the best out there. It's like, but you weren't getting All-NBAs over Kobe. You weren't getting All-NBAs over D-Wade. You weren't getting All-NBAs over a young Bron. Like, that kind of lets me know where you were in the pecking order just looking at the history books.
So, like, and I guess essentially, so you saying, are you, from your perspective, should it not be a game limit? Or if you're okay with it being a game limit, what do you think it should be?
So that's my problem. My problem is you're going to still have issues, but I want really strong, like I want really confident voters and really competent voters. Meaning that season Embiid had, and this is the easy one to highlight, I'm not giving you all NBA off 39 games. Okay, then you obviously could say, all right, now you got to go into the, okay, what if you do that for 50 games? It's like 50 games, I'm still probably not right there if the contemporary, because it's going to matter on a year-by-year basis. Like we talked about the play-in last week, right? If you are the 7th seed, or you're the 8th seed, but the 9 seed you up 10 games on, we shouldn't have a game. Like I just was clearly better than you. I deserve to be in the playoffs. But maybe one year it's 8 seed is only a game up on the 9 seed. It's like, okay, that makes more sense. So if Jokic at 61 games averages normal Jokic stat line, almost 30, the triple doubles, all that shit. And then the next contemporary as a center is, I don't even know who will be second team All-NBA, I guess. Embiid, I don't know if Embiid's going to get enough games. Let's say Embiid is 25-10, and he's actually he's at 75 games. Then you got to start having the conversation of who was more valuable. Is that close enough to say you put in more games and those games were more valuable than the dominant performance of Jokic? And again, you're going to have years where somebody gets screwed, but you're always going to have years where somebody gets screwed. Like, you're always going to have a year where we feel like, damn, like, oh, you should have won an MVP or you should have had this, like, you should have been first team. So it's never going to be perfect. I just
So you saying, and I guess I'm asking, like, so you don't think it should be like a game minimum?
no, I don't. I get the spirit of the rule, like again, and it's weird because like you don't even gotta have. The NFL just said Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft aren't Hall of Famers. Those voters didn't have any context or didn't have any criteria that says they're not clearly first ballot Hall of Famers. They used their own opinions and they're like, hey, for whatever the reason is, whether it's you feel like he cheated, you feel like he was an asshole, et cetera, like they used a thought process outside of the rules to vote. So I believe the NBA voter, really any voter, like you can use your own thought process to still get where you need to go. You don't just have to have some concrete rule that says, okay, dude play 65 games, he eligible. Because it's not like you need a concrete rule for, oh, a nigga played 82 games. Like Mikal Bridges is right. He's on like the fucking 600 game streak, whatever the fuck it is. Like played every fucking game since high school. Ain't nobody considering Mikal Bridges for an all NBA team. Like he a good player. We like him. He is solid at what he does. But you can't play enough games to prove value. We still know who you are. So if you can have that context, it's like, all right, I can also then have that. I can still use that same kind of context when it comes to like the high end guys. I guess that's the best way I can. That's the best way I got it.
Like I mean,
again,
and I'm not like, yeah, no, I think I could definitely see it going either way. Like I'm not. Like I'm not against it being like a game limit, but I'm also like, because like I understand the point of like maybe players who aren't maybe all NBA worthy players making some of these all NBA teams because the stars are unavailable for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. And that's
but I guess it's like, do you care about load management? And if you care about if you care about load management, do you think taking that game minimum away is going to encourage more teams to load manage?
My opinion is I don't realistically think it's stopping teams. The same way I don't think the fines are going to stop the Jazz. The Jazz and Pacers got fined over $500,000 for tanking, right? Now you fine me $500,000, I'm running to Mexico. You find these niggas $500,000, they don't give a fuck, they going to keep doing what they're going to do. And so for teams that want to load manage their player, like I don't think Kawhi is kind of the poster child of it. I don't think Kawhi gives a damn. Or the Clippers give a damn if he were to be not an all-NBA guy because they load managed him for 30 games because they wanted 50 games regular season and then healthy Kawhi in the postseason. I think it's kind of one of those things of, oh, we gonna make this rule. We want to show that we're serious about this rule. But the teams are only going to care as much as they want to care. And so if they want to load manage their guy, like the Sixers, we talked about this before. If the Sixers get to the playoffs and they got Maxi's hooping and Edgecomb's hooping and Embiid is healthy for the first time in years, they don't give a damn about him making an All-NBA team. Even though he's been playing really well while he's been out there. They just want him healthy in the playoffs for once. I guess the 1 year he was against, and that was the year Kawhi gamed him, but all-time run.
Yeah, it get tricky. Like it ain't like this. You know, I think it definitely get tricky because I mean, like you said, you want to have competent voters and like what's competence and like what's the criteria that they voting on. So it's kind of like even if you wanted to like set a criteria in place to say this is the criteria for all NBA, like. Does that not have a minimum amount of games played, like as a part of the criteria, like as far as them being available?
That's where you'd have to the competent part again. If it depends how close again you think the competition is. So again, if Embiid and Jokic are both vying for first team All NBA center, and there's a 20-game discrepancy, okay, that makes it a little bit easier. Is there a 10-game discrepancy? It's like, how great were their seasons outside of those 10 games? Like, I need the voters to be able to kind of have that kind of discrepancy and thought process. Obviously, if you just, like,
But I guess it's like, would you want them to have, like I guess, is it do you want them to have, like, do you want to expect them to be as logical as you are, or would you want to say this is the criteria and let's go off the criteria, or would you want to say use maybe logic and common sense to come to an answer?
I would want logic and common sense. If what year did the
But
Warriors
like, and I
win
guess
73 games?
Mm-hmm.
That was 16, right? The 16 was the year they won 73. Okay, I don't know this for a fact, but let's say their record is 60-4 after 64 games, right? And Steph was pretty much unanimously the MVP. Obviously, it was last year before KD. He was pretty much unanimously the MVP by All-Star break. Like, it was just like, all right, they on an all-time run. Steph is the MVP. If you got to game 64, and I don't think this rule was in effect, and I think it came a few years later. If you went to game 64, Steph is going crazy doing all this shit. Someone runs into Steph's knee. Steph is out until the playoffs. Would you not give, like, I'm 60-4. Steph doing what he did that season. I don't remember exactly when he broke the three-point record as far as for a season, but he was probably pretty damn close by that point. Would you then go, oh, well, he didn't get to 65 games, so he's not the MVP? Like, that would look nuts. It'd be like, obviously he was the MVP. They were the best team. They were on track to be the best team ever, and then someone ran into his knee, and now he's out for 3 weeks.
And that's why I said, like, I don't know what the game, like, I'm not mad at it being a game limit, but I don't know that it should be 60 something games, like whatever that number is, because that, to me, that's kind of close to like the finish line.
Yeah.
As far as the season being over.
No, 1,000%. Last thing here before we do get you out, like I said, just one football thing here, and it's just a response to, so yesterday I heard now everybody's doing like, and it's all way too early shit. So it's like way too early power rankings, way too early predictions, and both our teams have something in common, which is they are really easy to take shots at right now because a lot of people, when you look at teams that are most likely to fall off from what they did last year to this year, the Broncos and Bears got one thing in common, and I'm pulling up this article real quick here. So this is Andrew Filipponi, who writes for the Steelers, and he was talking about teams most likely to fall off. He put the Bears 1 and Broncos 2, but basically outlined the same thing, and that was too many come from behind wins, too lucky. The Bears set an NFL record. They were behind. They won 6 games in which they were behind with 2 minutes to go or less in the fourth quarter, which is the most all-time in NFL history. And the Broncos, excuse me, during their 11-game win streak, 10 of which they had to win from coming behind, essentially saying, look, you're not going to get that lucky next year. I had a semi-similar stance on the Chiefs the year they were winning a bunch of games. I think it was slightly different because of how it played out. But my thing with the Broncos and Bears, and I also put the Commanders in this boat, when you got young quarterbacks and you get your team to start having confidence they go win that games, I don't care if, yes, you can't technically win like that forever, but the Bears having belief that it's like, check the playoff game. They stayed in that playoff game against a team that I think was better than them because they're like, man, if we just get this bitch to like close in the fourth quarter, Caleb's going to do something. We don't know what the fuck the first half going to look like, but he's going to do something in the fourth quarter. And he did. He had 2 great throws, got him to overtime. And I think the same thing with the Broncos and Bo, where it was like, man, look, quarters 1 through 3 might look ugly, but if we keep this bitch close, we have confidence versus if you have a team where you just see a young quarterback and they lose those kind of games, you can't build that confidence, and teams learn how to win. How would you respond to people saying the Bears are going to come back down to earth because you're not going to have as many comeback wins as last year?
It's all based on whether they like you or not. Like, if they don't like you, being clutch is called luck. When they like you, it's called being clutch.
That's a fact. That's a bar. Yeah, that's a bar.
when they like you, it's clutch. When they don't like you, it's luck. That's like, what else? What else is it? Like, how many times do you have to do something for it to no longer be considered luck? Like, how long is it considered lucky? Like, is it luck after the first time or the 5th time or the 7th time or the 8th time? Like how many times does it, like, at what point is it no longer luck?
Nah, I brought that
like when you look at somebody like shooting like a Steph, like, of course, like, we got a large sample size of like Steph Curry, but like hitting half court shots, hitting, like, you know, these shots from, like, at what point is it no longer luck? Like, at what shot did y'all say, oh no, this ain't luck, this is what he do? Like,
no, it's a fact.
Like, what number did that get to? And we talked about it during the season too. Like the Bears had X amount of come from behind victories, but they came from behind in almost every game. Like they didn't win them all, but like the comebacks happened in damn near every game. Even some of the ones that they lost, like even when you talk about the Rams game, like that was a game where the Bears, even though that wasn't a come from behind, well, I think that was a pretty close game or whatever. But it was a couple of games where they came from behind and just fell short. So it's like, which part is the luck? Like coming from behind when you do it, if you've done it 10, 11, 12 games out of the season?
That's where I said, like, to close it out, is like, the Giants had, the difference to me was like, if you go look at the Giants had back-to-back weeks. They come back against the Chargers and they beat the Eagles. And if the Giants had continued that momentum, because the next week they played Denver, and obviously the Giants got up on Denver, and that became Denver's first big comeback. If the Giants had continued that run, then it's no longer luck. It happens once or twice, fine, I'll give that to you. You got a fluky game. If Denver had only done that to the Giants and the rest of the season they were just 500, cool, I'll give it to you. Giants game was lucky. But if, to what you just said, if I do it once, twice, okay, now it's 3, 4, 5, 6, like at some point, is Mahomes lucky or is he clutch? Well, we all acknowledge he clutch.
Like, is that just a part of what I do?
Absolutely. Is Brady just the luckiest guy ever? Is he the clutchest quarterback to ever walk the planet? 7 rings, man. Like,
it depends on whether they love you or not.
Amen. Amen. I appreciate you as always, bro. Don't forget you can check Will out. Group Chat Podcast, 3:30 Pacific Standard Time every single Wednesday. Appreciate you, bro. We'll catch you next week.
For sure.